Thanks for joining us on the Live News Update. My name is Tanti Azal. Here are the headlines. Ganduje sends critic message to Kwankwaso, calls him presidential candidate by accident. Nigerian Army disclosed its readiness to work with the United Nations Counter-Terrorism Unit. And on the foreign scene, Burkina Faso leader disclosed possible military cooperation with Russian delegate. In sport, John Eno expressed displeasure over state of National Stadium in Lagos. And in entertainment, German player speaks on why he prefers Burna Boy to Davido and Wizkid.
Alive TV.
And now the news in detail. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has disclosed that the Nigerian Army is ready to work with critical partners, especially the United Nations Counter-Terrorism Unit. General Lagbaja made the disclosure while receiving the delegate from United Nations Office for Counter-Terrorism at the Army headquarters in Abuja on Thursday. He acknowledged the role of the United Nations in the counter-terrorism effort and welcomes the experience of the UN in this area. The Chief of Army Staff says the Nigerian Army cares about the communities in which it operates by supporting them in areas of education, health as well, and other non-kinetic measures in collaboration with organizations and relevant agencies.
Anti-banditry activities in the Northwest, and we know that these bandits employ some tactics of the terrorist group, like the use of improvised explosive devices to instill fear in law-abiding citizens. So we are poised and we are ready to continue to cooperate with critical partners, especially the United Nations Office for Counter-Terrorism.
The Undersecretary General of the United Nations Office for Counter-Terrorism, Vladimir Voronkov, commended Nigeria's effort in counter-terrorism in the Northeast and expressed readiness to partner with Nigeria in tackling the global monster known as terrorism.
In any country, and I think Nigeria, from this point of view, is absolutely exemplary case when all of the entities, agencies, institutions are working together in order to make the threat, make the threat, yes.
Senator representing Zamfara West, Abdulaziz Yari, while pledging his support for the current administration, advised the government to continue the good reforms and programs it has started, citing the removal of the petrol subsidy as a step in the right direction.
This is Obasanjo's time, down to Yar'Adua, down to Jonathan, down to Muhammadu Buhari. They are looking how are we going to do away with the issue of subsidy. Because we, in the main problem, we know what it is. We know the trouble that is in, and we know the suspicion that we have in when we talk of issue of corruption, what is there in. You cannot ascertain, you cannot say the numbers. So what is the best for us? How can we keep it aside and then we move forward? This and the problem will remain at this, and we need more and more resources to develop infrastructure in Nigeria, to develop other sector of the economy, but we're putting it on something that we're not sure of what we're doing. So that decision has been taken by the government immediately, and that's part of what we are going to discuss and see how it's going to benefit Nigeria more.
The Zamfara West Senator also congratulated the Nigerian leader on his victory in the 2023 general elections while wishing the administration well. In other stories, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, has taken a vile dig at the presidential candidate of the new Nigerian People's Party in the 2023 election, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. According to Ganduje, Kwankwaso became an accidental presidential candidate in the 2023 election. The immediate past Kano State governor also accused Kwankwaso of turning the party into a revenue platform after his failed presidential bid. Ganduje, who did not mention the name of his predecessor as Kano governor directly, made the submission on Thursday when he played host to some other opposition presidential candidates who had come begging for inclusion in the administration of President Bola Tinubu. Going forward, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has met with members of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs behind closed doors at the presidential villa in Abuja. Members of the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs were led to the meeting by the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar, speaking to State House correspondent, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who disclosed issues discussed at the meeting, says the President Tinubu urged the Islamic scholars to be at the forefront of fostering national unity and societal integrity.
Well, the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs decided fit to pay a solidarity visit to Mr. President. They came to offer him some advice on the happenings in the country. They've also solicited for his cooperation and to ensure that the unity of Nigeria continues to be maintained. Mr. President, on his own part, has thanked them. He has accepted all the words of advice they've offered him. He has also asked them to continue to engage, to continue to dialogue. And Mr. President has also asked them to be in the forefront of the national reorientation, which is one of the pillars of his administration. He has asked them to go back to areas of conflict. You recall that the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence, was also in Niger to engage with the military junta there. He has asked them to continue to go back in the spirit of his belief that only dialogue, only engagement can end crises across the world.
The Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, under the leadership of His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto and the President General, is here to pay a courtesy call on Mr. President, to appreciate him for what he's doing for the nation, and to also advise him as to what the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs feels should be done to make sure that it continues to rule with transparency, with honesty, with equity, to the benefit of all members of this great country of ours.
And now to the foreign scene. A Russian delegation held talks with Burkina Faso's interim president Ibrahim Traoré on Thursday at a meeting that included discussions on possible military cooperation, the Burkinabe presidency says in a statement. It says the visit, led by Russian Deputy Defense Minister Yunus Bek, was a follow-up to talks between Traoré and Russian President Vladimir Putin at the Russia-Africa Summit in St. Petersburg in July. The junta-led West African countries' relations with Moscow have been in the spotlight since it booted out French troops in February, fueling speculation it would deepen security ties with Russia, like neighboring Mali, where Russian Wagner mercenaries operate. The meeting addressed areas of cooperation primarily concerned the military domain, including the training of Burkinabe officers, cadets, and officers at all levels, including pilots in Russia. In sports, Nigerian Sports Minister John Eno says he wept after seeing the state of the National Stadium in Surulere, Lagos, earlier this week. The new minister, who had announced that he would tour all the federal government-owned sports facilities in the country, toured the National Stadium in Lagos on Thursday. The stadium, which was erected in 1972, used to serve as the center of Nigerian sport. It has hosted the All-African Games in 1973, the African Cup of Nations in 1980 and 2000, as well as the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in 1999. Unfortunately, it has been deteriorating for the past 20 years, and the country's immediate past sports minister, Sunday Dare, started redeveloping it 2 years ago with the assistance of lottery billionaire Kesentin Adebutu. John Eno, who was only appointed as Dare's successor 2 weeks ago, took a tour around the still under renovation facilities and was left disappointed. And lastly, in entertainment, German professional footballer Benjamin Park-Sieg-Henrich has given reasons as to why he prefers Nigerian Afrobeat star Burna Boy to other music talents from Nigeria. Henrich, in a video shared by a sports journalist, says he loves Grammy-winning singer Burna Boy because he makes good music as compared to the others. The player chose Las Las Corona when asked to pick his favorite artist between the music industry's leading trio, Davido, Wizkid, and Burna Boy. The German DFL poker winner listed some Burna Boy's hit songs, even vibed to some of them, explaining the sensational effects the music of the Nigerian superstar has on him. And this is all we have for you. Thanks for watching. Do have a great day ahead.